So in this video, we're gonna show you guys how we built this black walnut semi-transparent black epoxy custom door for an office locally, and we'll show you the different steps and the different things that we had to do to make it right. And this is the first one we've ever built. So we're starting out with burning bubbles out from the epoxy pour between the two slabs, which you could see here. It's on the casting table, and we are mid burning bubbles from the epoxy. Prior to that, we actually flattened the walnut slab, so it sits nice and flat on the casting table, and then we started the epoxy pour. On the second part here, we are rough milling the slab itself after the epoxy dried, because it does bend a little bit when we do the epoxy pour, and we also give it extra thickness so we have plenty of meat to flatten the slab perfectly, because this is going to be a door, so it's very important that it sits flat. And you can see the CNC machine here just going back and forth, getting the wood flattened. As you can tell, the top is not flattened at all. We really don't need to flatten the top for the epoxy pour, so we just need one side flat so it sits nice and flat on the casting table, which you could see in the back of the video here, where the CNC machine moving back and forth. It's kind of white, and this is a time-lapse video. It took quite a few hours to flatten everything and get it perfectly flat and also square. There's just different views of the machine milling the wood, so you get a better view on how it really lays on the table. Our CNC machine was made in North Carolina. It's called by Spark Robotics. Great customer service, great bunch of guys. They really get back to you really fast if something happens. Here in the video, we are basically rough making the door jambs. It's very important to go on site and measure the actual opening of the office door. This was a custom door. It was about almost 9 foot tall, and it was 40 plus inches wide. When you make a custom door, it's very easy to cut the actual slab to size and just play with the sizes what you want. The client wanted a big door, so we coordinated with the general contractor and we decided to do custom size door. Also, when we were planing the door jamb parts, we also planed a glue up that we put a frame around the door slab. You could see here we are putting the glue on. Now you're probably wondering if we use the same glue. We're using a Tide Bond glue here on the wood, number 2, and then you can see the epoxy in the middle. So where the epoxy is, we obviously use the C28 epoxy that we use for all of our glue ups or even castings. This is a local product to Florida. We've been using it for 10 years and we are very satisfied with the product itself. Now here I'm gluing up the rails, and anything that goes horizontal on a door, it's called a rail, and anything goes vertical on the door, it's called a stile. So here you can see me gluing up and putting the dominoes, the Festool dominoes in it, and we created that so there is extra strength in the frame. It creates a very, very strong bond. We obviously dry fit it first before we actually got it all glued up. Remaking is a little bit oversized, so when it comes to that phase, we can cut the door to size and perfectly square. Here you can see me putting glue into the holes of the Festool domino system. It's very important to know not to put too much glue in there, because then you're gonna have a phenomenon where you have too much glue and you're trying to push in the actual dominoes, and fluid doesn't compress as very well, so it could keep the domino out of the hole. It doesn't seat it all the way on the bottom. And it's also important to put glue on both sides of the dominoes. In this case, sometimes you let it float, which means you don't put glue at all. So here we're clamping it lengthwise, which is the stiles glued to the frames. And we collected all of our clamps and we clamp these pieces down nice and strong. It's taking off the excessive epoxy, so we don't have a hard time sanding it once it's all dry. And we let it dry overnight, mainly because of the epoxy. The epoxy dries in a few hours, but we like to leave them overnight so everything is fully dried. There was a lot of cleanup. You don't have to be frugal with the glue. Let the glue just run, and that way you know you have a perfect glue up on this door frame. When I say door frame, it's a frame on the actual slab itself. We thought it was important so the door stays more true to its size, so it doesn't bow or warp. This was something that we just decided to do. As I said, we've never done this door before, so we were just doing what we thought it would be the best for the door itself, to have it perfectly true and not bowed or warped. Here we're doing a final grinding. Josh is doing a great job on sanding on that, and this is actually the outside of the door that's going to be towards the hallway, and then the frame side, which you saw earlier being glued up, was towards the office side. And in the end you will see it came out actually quite nice that way. Usually what we do is we use the Rotex fast tool grinder. It's a great machine. It has the grinding ability and the sanding ability, and we usually start with 60 or 80 grit, and then we build it up to 180 grit. And it's good to make pencil marks just to make sure that you sanding all the surfaces. It's very easy to get lost or where you left off, and that way if you have pencil marks on it, you know exactly where you were. That way you don't miss any spots, because that's quite visible when you do the final finishing on the door. You could see curls if you leave out an 80 grit area that you haven't sanded, and you know, that way you have a perfect finish. Here I'm building the door jamb. After we made the parts, we used pretty heavy duty screws. We used the Headlock brand. These are structural screws. We used the 6-inch ones. We countersink the top jamb. As you can see, there's 2 of the countersinks, and then we pre-drill them, and then we put these 6-inch Headlock screws in there. The door was pretty heavy. It's about 200 pounds. So we wanted to make sure that the door jamb is a nice and strong structure. And also, this door is an offset pivot door, which we've never installed before. So we had to do a few different things before we actually installed the door. We did not glue the frames here because we knew we had to take it apart. We had to build the door jamb on the table so it's nice and flat. And we also putting in the door stops. I'm measuring out how much space left between the first door stop and then the thickness of the door, and then the opposite door stop. When you have an offset pivot door, you don't usually put in your usual door jambs all on the same spot, because the door does not hinge on its edge. It's hinging 8 inches in from the corner. As you can see, that's the hardware right there, and I'm just kind of testing it out how this is going to look. There's a lot of things we had to think of here, like this particular hardware. We had to drill holes. We had to use a mortising machine, which is in the back here. You could see, and you'll see me momentarily cutting the actual space for the offset pivot hardware, because the top part has a mechanism that you can basically screw with a screwdriver, and then the pin raises and drops. So here I'm just lifting up the door. It's early morning, so I'm the only one in the shop, so I really had to eat my Wheaties to do that. And after I flipped it, we're gonna cut this momentarily to its final size, and we're using a fast tool track saw, which is a great tool on cutting quickly and precisely. And we had to do a little bit of a preparation, scraping off some glue so the track would sit nice and flat. Adam just arrived. This is early in the morning, as I mentioned. We're going over the plan here of what we're going to do with the door and how we're going to install it so we're both on the same page and know what to do. It's a very important point. Here we're going to mark out the actual, where is the door going to sit relative to the pivoting side, which is also what we will plumb first when we install the door. And here you could see, again, I'm measuring, putting in the actual hardware. The hardware itself has its own thickness, so we had to add that to the overall height of the door. We did not recess these hardwares into the wood because it's only about 1/8 of an inch thick once it's installed, and we felt we needed that much clearance for the door to open and close. Here you could see I'm cutting the actual reference side of the door. That's where the door is actually going to pivot, and it's pretty important to have that very accurately. We also cut a 5-degree kind of a chamfer on the door edge itself, so when the door opens, because if you leave the door edge square, and because this is an offset pivot hardware, if you leave it square, usually the corner would rub against the actual frame. So on the side where the pivots are, we decided to put a 5-degree chamfer, and actually it was a very good move because when we installed the door, we saw that the door would have rubbed against the actual door frame because we only had 1/8 of an inch clearance all the way around. Now we're just giving a final sand here real quick on the front on the actual frame with our fast tool sander, and I think this is a number 5 sander, which is more for finishing. Here I'm laying out the actual top hardware, which is this is where the pin drops into, and that's on the door side. So this has a mechanism, so I had to use a caliper and a couple of other measuring tools to do the actual depth. Here I'm drilling a little bit oversized hole for that pin to drop in, and that pin has a metal sleeve that you saw earlier, and that needed to drop in, and then I'm going to be hogging out the main meat of that, and using a caliper to check the depth of it, which actually later I realized that it's easier to just drill all the way through the wood, because once you cut the actual hardware and the pin moves up and down, and on that very first picture when I was measuring the depth, I actually forgot to add the extra depth and height of the pin moving up and down, so I had to hog it out later all the way across. Here I'm using a mortising machine to cut the actual size of the hardware in, and this had to be quite accurate because it only gives you a little bit of a room to actually have enough room for the screws that you put them in. There's 8 screws in this tiny hardware. They really wanted to make sure it's a strong fastening, and clearly because that's what's holding the entire door. And this particular door was about 200 pounds. I'm mortising this out with a 3/4 inch mortising bit, and that was sufficient to cut enough groove in there so the mechanism could comfortably fit in there without being obstructed or jammed in the operation when we screwing the tiny screw in, and then the pin drops down. I'm doing a little quick adjustment with a chisel just to scrape out anything. I'm fitting in the actual hardware. I have to do a little bit more on cutting. You can't cut it too big because then you go over the size of it, and you can see here it was fine. And here you could see that I'm drilling that hole a little deeper so the pin itself can move up and down much easier. Prior to I cut the actual jam, what you saw earlier was basically just a test piece, just to make sure that I know exactly how to cut it and where to cut it, not practicing on the actual door jam. So this way we didn't waste the piece of walnut that we had. I'm screwing that little screw you can see there. It's going up and down. The pin moves up and down. It's a quite clever little system. Now we're doing the final preps on the actual door. We're sanding it up to 180 grit, and then after that it's going to the spray booth for finishing. Here you can see the slab in the spray booth. First we dust it off, spray it with high pressure air, make sure that we get all the dust off for a good bonding on the finish. First coat is a seal coat using an ML Campbell whitewater vinyl sealer, which is a great product for the top coat that we're going to be using. It's quite nice, the transition from being prepped into getting finished. Here sprayed the final top coat, which is an ML Campbell crystal dull. It's a post-catalyzed finish. Very, very good product. We've been using it for many years and never had any issues with it. You could probably get it in your local stores. Here I'm spraying the actual front of the door with the seal coat. We usually do 2 coats of seal coat and then 2 or 3 coats of top coat. Depends how the wood feels. Now we are at the client's house. We're roughing in the frame. It was very important to get that frame side perfectly plumb. The guys did a great job on framing and also on the drywall, and the frame came out exactly the size that we needed to. And here we are. When we put the frames in, we used countersink screws, and then we plugged the holes. Here we're sanding off the actual plugs, so it's kind of a seamless look. There's no screws or screw heads showing, and we end up finishing the door frame itself and the door stops in place once it was all done with the tried and true polymerized tung oil with hard wax in it. And here we're trying the door in. We had to do one little modification on the door when we were installing. We had to put it in a couple of times to see. We actually had to snip off like 1/8 of an inch on the bottom. The bottom hinge offset pivot was actually tap coned to the floor. Because we prefabricated the door in the shop, it was very easy to install on site. And you can see here I'm trying the door itself. It was a very smooth opening. The bottom has an actual bearing, ball bearing, and the top is basically just that drop down pivot point, and we are just testing it now. It was a really good idea, as I said earlier, on that 5-degree chamfer in the back, because there was no rubbing in the back of the door frame. Yeah, I'm explaining to the client about the door a little bit and how we built it, and now I'm telling him about putting in the actual door stops, showing semi-transparent epoxy. They really liked it. Here we're oiling the frame with tried and true polymerized hard wax tung oil. It's a beautiful product. It goes on very easily, and it dries fairly quickly, and then we can put a second coat on that. We did come back later and put a second coat on the door frame. And here's the final door. As you could see, it's all properly plumbed and put in with the door stops. There was very little clearance between the frames and the doors, and it kind of made it a nice, really nice fitting. It came out nice. We were very happy with it. The client was very happy with it, and it looks pretty cool.